Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make hard and industrial distorted techno kicks in the style of Dyen, Perc, and I Hate Models. Now, to go along with this video, I've just dropped a new sample pack on my Bandcamp. The link is right at the top of the description. This pack is called Definitive Industrial and Hard Techno Kicks Volume 1, and what this is it is my definitive collection of distorted and hard techno kicks. As you can see, we've got 20 kicks here, and what I've done is each of these you have them split, so you get the bass, the punch on its own, and then the full kick. So with the past packs that I made like this, they didn't have the kick split, so you couldn't like work with just the bass line or just the kick. But now I've made it so you have everything, so you can not just get cool basses and kicks, but also you can kind of tear these apart and see how they fit together. And what you can also do is you can put different ones together. Like maybe I could take the bass from this and put it with the punch from this, and you can make a whole new kick. So yeah, you get the 20 kicks, all of them, you get the bass, punch, and the kick. Plus, it comes with this distorted hard kick rack that you can use to make your own kicks in this style. It's just a rack for Ableton. You just drop it on. I'll give you a little demo here really quick. I have this kick set up, so we'll just drop it on to this. And there you go. You get a super hard hitting, fat, industrial, and hard techno kick. Plus, it also comes with 10 bonus percussion loops. So you get 10 percussion loops in this style. And you can hear everything sounds really professional and full, and this pack is designed to kind of help you get started quickly, This way, you're able to quickly get in. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of time, looking across the entire earth for a kick sample. You can just get some nice, powerful kicks, get started with that, and then you have more time to spend on the important stuff. So yeah, like I said, link for that is right at the top of the description. I'll just give you a quick demo of some of the kicks. And you already heard the percussion loops, and yeah, like I said, link top of the description. You get the kicks, percussion loops, and the hard kick rack. This is a great way to support me, guys, if you've been liking these videos. And yeah, so today I'm going to be talking to you about some new techniques that I have created and figured out just for making these style of kicks. I've made a few videos before talking about these kicks, and I think I really understand it now in a way where I can explain it to you how to do it on your own in a unique and exciting way. So I have two kicks that I prepared here with two slightly different approaches to making them. I'll just play them. We have this one, and then we have this one. So this first kick here is more of an aggressive kind of it has sort of like a rhythm to it. This is something with these kinds of kicks right off the bat. Like, a lot of times in these kind of tracks, the kick isn't just like, doom, and then it stops. A lot of times the kick either has like a long tail, like you get with this kick, or it has some kind of rhythmic, like, thing kind of like this to it. And what this does is it kind of creates more percussion with less elements, because with this style, typically it's a bit more minimal. It's a bit less you don't have so many different elements happening, because each element is typically a bit louder and fatter than it would be on its own in the normal style of track where it's less distorted. So you have to try to get more mileage out of your kick. And so that's where, having the long tail comes into play. Now this is the kick and the bass line, and it's a bit of a percussion loop. So that's the idea with this one. So the way that I've done this is essentially I've taken this kick from the sample pack. Again, this is just one of those kick punches. And what I've done is I've got two tracks of this. I've got this one, which is just playing the punch. Just doom, doom, doom. And then this one, which is that same kick in a simpler, here you can see. And then this is doing the bass line. And so the way I've done this is the MIDI is actually the exact same as the kick that's just doing quarter notes. But then what's happening here is we have an arpeggiator just making it do 16th notes. yeah, I like doing this because you can easily edit this gate here. So if you want it to be kind of tighter, like let's say you just want it to be like that for some reason, you could do that. Or if you want it to be like kind of bigger, you can do that as well. So it gives you like a lot of control. About there is good, but it gives you a lot of control versus, you know, if I just went in and like made this all 16th notes, like we could definitely do that, you know, just like that. It's not going to be as easy to kind of like play with the timing and stuff. And yeah, and then on the simpler, I have this going through a little low pass filter as well. Here's without that. And with it, so you can hear it just kind of puts it more to like the bass range and cuts out some of those super clicky highs. So yeah, and then with this one, after that, we've got this audio effect rack here. So this is what's doing the distortion. The key to these kinds of kicks is multiband distortion. And what I mean by that is essentially distortion where you have it split by frequency bands. So you can see here, for example, we have the highs, then we have the mids, and then we have the lows. And the reason for this is because the distortion in the style needs to be really specialized. A lot of people think, and this is kind of what I would think too when I would hear these tracks before I really understood what was going on. A lot of people think that the way you make this kind of a kick is you take either a rumble kick or you take just, you know, a regular kick just by itself and just put a bunch of distortion on it. And that's how you get the hard, raw sound. And the reason why you can't just do that is because, I'll show you, it's not really going to sound that good. Like, if we just take this kick and start, like, putting a saturator on it, you know, like, okay, that's technically a distorted kick. But listen to this. It doesn't have any transients. You know, it's completely flattened out. It doesn't really have that much good low end to it. Like, you really can't get a good kick just dropping distortion onto everything like that. So what you have to do is this multiband distortion here, where you're going in and distorting the areas that you want to be distorted without just, you know, doing the whole thing. And I'll show you, like, so here's with the multiband distortion on this bass here. But here's what happens if I just grab this amp and just put it on the whole thing. So see how you just really, like, in the case of this, it just becomes too muddy, and even if you start to turn the distortion up, it's just not right. This is why we do multiband distortion. So the way I've done this here is I just have an audio effect rack with 3 chains. We have a high chain, which is being distorted with this one, a mid chain, which is being distorted with this one, and then a low chain, which isn't being distorted. So this allows us to still keep that fat bass coming through. But now we can get the crunchy highs and mids like we want. And it also allows you to kind of distort them differently too, because you can see, like on the highs, this is the setting that we have the mids on. It doesn't sound as good on the highs. So we can kind of get more crunch out of the highs and then keep the mids more like mid-rangey. So yeah, I really recommend doing this. Like I said, it's really easy to do because you can see all you got to do is just set up this EQ3. I didn't even change the frequency settings. I just set it to low, mid, and high. And there you go. That's really the secret, I think, to getting these kinds of kicks. Yeah, then after the audio effect rack, I just have a compressor side chaining this to the kick, like that main punch kick. Side chaining is really important with these because since it kind of has to sound like one instrument, the kick and the bass together, you know, if you don't side chain this, it's just going to be completely in the way of the main kick. And then the last thing on there is just this EQ, which just cuts out a little bit of room at 100 Hz. That's typically where the kick is punching. And then I'm boosting the lows a little to make this come through a bit more. And yeah, so that is how we did the kick and the bass. And then typically on these, I'll just put a little bit of saturation or drum bus or something like this. Kind of glue them together. Here is without it. And then with it. So it's that last little bit of like kind of fullness and punch that brings the kick together. And yeah, and then for the second kick here, it's made also using a group. What I've done with this one is I have the punch here. So you can hear that. Again, this is just a kick from the pack. And then what I'm doing here is I have this audio track, which you can see has nothing on it. But then what's happening is I've got the routing set, so it's getting input. Basically, all that's happening is the output is coming out of this track. And then this track here is just getting the input of that, because you can see I have this set to kick 9 punch, track 5. That's the one that we want to get input from. And then what I've done is I've set it to post effects here, and then we turn this in on. And now I'll turn off these effects too so you can hear. There we go. It's literally just the output of this. But this way, you can just kind of have it going into this stuff and get this as sort of like your bass chain. And then, you know, it's a little bit of an easier way to work with it because now they're linked together. So yeah, I really recommend doing it this way. The way I've made this one is using reverb. So what's happening here is it's reverb, which you can see is set like this very quick, not really a whole lot of time. I've got the size down a bunch. I really recommend using that to make these kinds of kicks. You can hear when I turn it up, it's a bit more all over the place. But then when we put that down, you get that like kind of bass stab. You can see I've also got quite a bit of pre-delay, and I've got these filters turned so that it's not really letting through a whole lot of high frequencies. I've also got the density and the diffuse all the way up. Those really help in terms of just giving it body. Like, a lot of times the issue with making a distorted bass this way is that it can be hard to really get it to have that, like, you know, that fullness like you hear. So turning the diffuse and the density up really helps with that. And yeah, and then what's happening is this is being distorted by this amp. So here's without this. And then with it, so you can hear what it does. For one, it's converting it to mono. You definitely want to make sure you're converting the reverb to mono when you're doing this. But also, it's just giving that reverb like that fullness. And really giving it like that, like thick feeling in the mid-range. And yeah, and then after that, I have this going into a very similar multiband processing rack here, like I had on the other kick. So you can see, same deal. We have a high chain, which is being distorted on its own. This one I use the saturator. These different curve settings here can actually make like a big difference in terms of like just getting really cool distortions, especially with this style where you're trying to like get a lot of different styles of distortion. We got a mid-range chain. As you can see, I've also got a saturator on. And then we have a low chain, which I just have a bit of EQ on. Again, because like, I'll show you this one. If we just drop the saturator on everything at once, you know, same deal. You're not really going to get a nice bass line that way. But if you do the multiband processing, you can control it a little bit more. And, you know, kind of get a cleaner sound. And yeah, and then the final thing on that is just a compressor. We're just side chaining it to the kick. Again, you know, if you don't side chain this, the side chain is like part of the groove there between the kick and bass. And yeah, and then on the group of these, I just got some saturation and some EQ. So again, just a little bit of processing at the end on both of them at once to kind of glue them together. I'll show you without this stuff. And then with it, so you can see the saturator really gives it a lot of punch and also just glues these in a way where it's making them a lot more even in volume. And then the EQ just kind of brings out some of that mid-range, like the punch there, and then the fatness in the low end. And yeah, that is how you make these kicks. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. Like I said, I just wanted to come up and show you some techniques that I haven't shown you guys before that I figured out recently to really make these kicks and make them work. You know, it can be a little bit finicky, but there are a lot of really cool ways to do interesting things that sound really exciting and, you know, create really fresh and unique sounds within the style. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get my new sample pack, Definitive Industrial / Hard Techno Kicks, Volume 1, right at the top of the description on my Bandcamp. You get the 20 kicks all separated into the bass and punch, as well as the 10 bonus percussion loops, plus this distorted hard kick rack, so you can make your own kicks with, or your own kicks and bass lines with any kick that you want to put into it. It's a really great way to support me, guys. I don't make a whole lot off of just these videos alone, but with these sample packs and stuff like this, I'm able to keep making these videos for you guys every day, so I can keep teaching you stuff like this that isn't really out there. So yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.